All right, we are live in this realm, and on today's episode, alongside special guest co-host Bianca Léger, we interview the author of the book "The Choice Is Yours," who's also a motivational speaker and a spiritual and wellness coach. Combining quantum energy, dragon resonance, and light language wisdom, this coach teaches others how to raise their vibration, release what no longer serves their highest good, activate their DNA for change, and simply be who they truly are. Welcome to the Winner's Circle, Nancy Telfer.
Thank you.
And welcome, Bianca, joining us for this great conversation as well as we delve into the quantum realm and beyond with Nancy. So as I was mentioning at the beginning of this podcast, before we went on air, I was mentioning this is a very uplifting, inspiring, empowering podcast where we try to keep things positive and really contribute to the world right now. And the first question is a light one. And it is, Nancy, what do you love about your world right now?
Ooh, well, that's pretty easy, actually, is the vibration, the frequency, and being positive. Because when you focus on the positive, you can feel it in your heart that it's the right place to be. So just being appreciative of everything in your life, no matter what is going on in the outside world, being appreciative inside.
Mm-hmm. And
I relate so much with that. I'm sorry. I remember feeling this. I think I had a similar answer to that, because I also feel like on days where I manage to find what it is that I need, I'm like so grateful that I get to embody gratitude, and it really does feel like the best thing ever, regardless of what's happening. Yeah, I love that.
Mm-hmm. So in preparation to this interview, Bianca and I watched one of your recommendations that you had on your website, and that is the Thrive On documentary, where they talk about a lot of the terminology you just introduced, and that is vibration, frequency, and resonance. Can you explain to us what those mean to you, and so that our viewers kind of understand what that is? Because I'm sure we'll be talking about that a lot in this conversation today.
This, like, we have our physical body, and then we have our energy field. And basically what we are experiencing in our physical body has been in our energy field first. So that is the resonance. So if you could catch something in your energy field, in your resonance, and take care of it, remove it, it will never get to your physical body. So that frequency and the energy, once you learn how to let it go, then you're basically taking care of your physical body at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to know, if you're willing to share, what are some practices you do in order to cleanse and clear the energy? And I'm also wondering, how did you develop this ability to feel the frequencies? Did it take you a long time? Was it intuitive from the beginning?
No,
it
didn't take that long once you realize what your feeling is frequency. And it's really easy to get started. Like a lot of the beginners, if you don't feel any energy, just rubbing your hands together and then holding them apart, you can feel the energy in the palm of your hands. There's a hand chakra there. So once you get used to that and feeling the like, it's almost like feathers, right? Like a little vibration going on, you can make the energy ball bigger and bigger. But once you get used to that feeling, you can feel it in your body.
And you've been practicing for a while. So you said that you evolved quite quickly once you started practicing.
Yeah, because once you know about the frequency in your energy field, you could bring it in close, or you can expand. And when you can expand and stay grounded and high frequency, you're affecting everyone you come in contact with, because that spark of frequency will touch them as you cross. You don't even have to know them. You're just passing by them. And it's like a spark that'll light up their frequency.
We talk a lot about grounding, and I don't know if there maybe some people have different practices in order to ground. I imagine you'd want to share some of those with us. Like I imagine touching the earth, or maybe some sort of visualizations might be helpful.
Yeah.
And I think at this time it might be a particularly important information to share, because it feels like we are being touched by much higher frequencies than ever before. So the importance of grounding right now seems so important. Would you share some of those practices with us?
Absolutely. There's a couple of my favorite ones, and it's seeing, like, visualizing tree roots coming out the bottom of your feet. And the tree roots can connect deep into the planet. And if you think of the trees and how deep their roots go, and then there's a communication between the trees and the roots. So when we're connected to the planet with our tree roots, like our own roots grounding, then we have a communication when you're open to receiving that from everything connected on the planet. So that's one of my favorite. Another one is in meditation, where your grounding cord is connected to your root chakra, and you actually cut it. When I first heard this, I was shocked. I'm like, cut my grounding cord? But you cut it and you grow it as a thicker grounding tube. So then it's hollow, and you could send what no longer serves you down this tube to the center of the planet, where they will actually connect, and transform this energy of what left you to come back to you in a higher frequency.
That's powerful. I haven't heard that one before.
Yeah.
So
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead, Bianca.
Well, I read in your bio how you have that communication with your cells as well. That is so important, because our cells know what we think, often before we do, consciously, or always, maybe. And I imagine when we do those visualizations, the importance is just that the cells receive the message and the frequency that we are thinking about, and that's kind of the message they're responding to. Yeah, it just makes me think about that communication with the cells and how we can influence them with those visualizations. It's just such a powerful practice. Thank you for sharing.
You're welcome. And your thoughts, they have like a ripple effect. So this, as soon as you have a thought, it's like a ripple in the water. So it goes out there, but it's also going in your body. So when you think of your body, there's like over 50 trillion cells. And the moment you think, I have arthritis in my knee, boom, the cells are listening. So they're rejuvenating every day, but you are confirming the day before by having that thought. So you have a different thought, and you're basically reprogramming the cells. If you cannot think about the arthritis you have.
I have
that works with.
So most people, we're not really taught to talk to ourselves, and we're not even taught that they have an intelligence, although we know our body is running, is digesting, is working. Everything has a function that we don't even understand, but we don't really think about the intelligence running through this technology that is our body. And I wonder, because just like any relation with something, we need to build that relation with ourselves. And I know in my experience, it's something I cultivate every day, especially when you've kind of broken your trust with yourself in the past. It's like something to rebuild. I wonder if you had like Eureka moment, like, oh my God, my cells are listening and feel it. Or you just kind of built the belief that your cells are listening and see the effects of that, and thus building your belief stronger? Because I just think about people not really having that relation with themselves yet. How did that unfold for you?
It was a slow process for me. So it was more that I was reading more information and more information. And then all of a sudden it was like, oh my gosh, I never ever considered that they're listening to what I'm, and especially what you're saying, because there's a higher vibration, but what you're thinking, what you're saying. And so when you have that communication, for me, what I've been telling my clients and those listening to my videos is the connection with your heart is the biggest. So if you could breathe into your heart and actually visualizing your heart expanding and with your breath, it actually, it increases your resonance and it enlarges. There's a coherence, and then you have a communication with your heart, because that's where your intuition, that's where you're going to find out. So starting small and communicating with your heart, even asking what color to wear. You know, I never owned anything red before, and my body asked me to get red. So now I have 3 or 4 different tops that's red, but it's the root chakra. And I hadn't been focusing on that. So wear red. And so every day I'll connect and ask, what color should I wear? Well, not every day. When I remember, you connect and, you know, it'll tell you what color is going to better serve you during your day.
Wow. I haven't done that.
And that connection with your heart is going to expand, because you start with small, easy questions. And then you can have a huge conversation and really get into different things, because your heart knows everything you've been through, everything, all the programs you've, you know, installed throughout your life, and your heart can help you to release all of that.
One thing that came up when I was listening to that, I feel one thing that get in the way of that is one's ego. One's ego gets in the way of listening to our intuition, our higher calling. What's your thoughts on the ego, and how do we work with it?
Your ego. I've heard all kinds of things on the ego, and that you're actually, you know, people are trying to get rid of the ego, and I don't think you can ever get rid of it. But it's the ego mind that will come up with excuses not to connect with your heart. You're too busy today. You've got too many things to do. So when you hear yourself coming up with excuses on why not to do a certain process, that's your ego. And just take 5 minutes, sit down and do the process. You know, it's like this constant argument, you know, it's a silent, like devil on your shoulder kind of thing, because it wants you to stay the same. It wants you to stay that programmed computer that we are, and not expand to what we truly are. So
yeah, I appreciate that. And I think that ego, that devil on the shoulder, that is a part of us. I think there's a lot of duality in this world, but from my understanding, is we as individuals and we as a collective are truly one. And it's being able to observe that light, being able to observe that darkness within ourselves and in reflection and all, because it's always there. And it's what we choose to do with it.
Exactly.
We talked a little bit about meditation, and it makes me wonder, because we tend to make a dissociation between being and doing. And I think when we're talking about the quantum realm and quantum possibilities and exploring our inner experience, it's very much in the stillness, in not doing or being active within, or witnessing the action inside. And like you said, it takes time. I'm wondering, do you set time aside every day to be still? What does that look like for you? And how can people start tapping into that realm we're talking about that is unseen to the physical eyes?
First thing in the morning is like the best time. and is even before bed. But that the first thing in the morning, if you start making that part of your process, and then that actually helps the rest of your day. So I'll sit down and I'll hold on to a crystal, and I'll just do deep breathing. And that in itself, close your eyes, do the deep breathing, especially if you're breathing into your heart, you will find that your whole body vibrates. And when you can experience that and the stillness you mentioned, you're in the quantum realm. It really doesn't take very long to get there. It's, all of this it's just an illusion. If we can close down and go to the quantum realm, that's where all frequency, or what I say is infinite possibilities, lay in the quantum field.
Can you tell us, thank you. Can you tell us a bit about crystals? Because they're so popular right now.
Yeah.
What about them?
Every single crystal has a resonance from the planet. So each one of them is different. I don't know, like I have a book on the crystal, so I would, look it up and what it is, or I'll just have one in my pocket. I love shungite, so I will always have shungite in my pocket. It is a protectant against like the cellular waves and all of the stuff that's harmful to our energy. And then in my other pocket, there's always a stone in each pocket. In my other pocket, rotate. So I love the rose quartz because it's love. And since I'm spending so much time connecting with my heart, I have to have rose quartz. But sometimes I'll feel drawn to have the citron. The citron is gold, and that's the gold Christ light energy coming in. So it's all on what you're drawn to have and carry with you.
And do you feel the vibration from the crystal?
You can, if you close your eyes and disconnect from this world and the ego mind, right? Because they'll say, you don't feel anything. Oh, you're just making that up, right? But if you disconnect from all of that, which it's kind of hard to do because your mind will tell you you're making things up, but you hold it in your hand and you just ask to feel the energy of it. Or if you hold it in your hand and just kind of hold your hand above it, and then you can feel the energy from it there. So you do put a different crystal and then you'll feel something different. You might feel the energy field up this high, like much higher than the other one. So it's kind of interesting when you start playing around with that kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's such a big difference. Well, when we're talking about, because this whole conversation about energy and vibration is all about feeling. And there's definitely a game that seems to be played with the mind and the stories we make up, and really paying attention to the feelings instead of the stories, although they can serve us and understanding certain things. So how I completely forgot my question. I was thinking about the difference between thinking and feeling. And no, it's gonna come back later. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay, because there's guides, right? The unseen world, they didn't want you to ask that question in this moment. So it'll come to you later. Okay. So they're just saying, oh, now's not the time. But when what you were asking, right, made me think of the fact that we are radio receivers. So I like to joke saying we got antennas. And so when we have a thought, sometimes it's not even our own. So asking a powerful question like, who does this belong to? Right? Because you could have a thought or an emotion that all of a sudden comes up and you were in a really good mood 5 minutes ago. So what just happened? So if you're not protected energetically wise, grounded and protect your energy field, you're going to get all of these emotions from everybody around you. And it could be as far as your neighbor. It depends on how expanded you are. But if you pick up your thoughts of your neighbor, then, and your neighbor's having an emotional day, then all of a sudden you're going to feel it. And they call that an empath, because you're feeling everything that other people are feeling. But as soon as you ask, who does this belong to? It sends it back because it's not yours.
Mm-hmm.
Having that awareness that your thoughts aren't necessarily your thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a powerful awareness. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I have a question going back to crystals and the power of belief. So I have some citrine right here. I think this is tourmaline that I have right here. I was called to grab this one before, and I have some rose quartz on my bracelet here. But what is the difference between a rose quartz and like a pen? Say I put a belief in this pen and say this pen is love, and this will attract whatever my intentions put into the pen. What is the difference? Because at the end of the day, belief is the root of our creation. So I could say this rose quartz will do this, but can't you also say this stone or this piece of paper or this token, and instill in that your intentions and allow that item to manifest your desire? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. You would have to cleanse the pen first, right? Because if you think of everyone who's touched the pen, the energy from everyone else is in that pen. So cleansing it just with visualizing white light, cleaning it, and then put your belief in it. And say you make it a manifestation pen, and then you write out, and you have that strong belief that everything you write with that pen is going to come true, then for sure the ego mind will step in and say, you're making this up. This isn't possible. It's just a pen. But as long as you can hold on to that belief that it's a magic pen, then it will be.
Mm-hmm.
That.
So powerful.
Doing that.
So my introduction to this way of thinking was through Esther Hicks and Abraham, and it has evolved into discovering the works of Florence Scovel Shinn, who I absolutely love, Wayne Dyer, and so many other teachers out there. Who are some teachers and mentors that have inspired you in your learning and on your path, Nancy?
Abraham Hicks for sure, because I still do the book of positive aspects. That has changed all kinds of relationships with me. If I'm having a hard time with that person and always arguing, if I do the book of positive aspects and find 10 things that I love about that person, that completely changes the frequency. I actually have the instructions of that on my website because I love that process so much. Another one would be Byron Katie. I always refer to her process. It's called The Work. And I love the way she, like the 4 questions, is it true? Is it really true? Because you can convince yourself that the person who pulled out in front of you is a jerk, right? Well, is that true? The immediate first is yes. Well, is that really true? Well, then you're doubting, because you don't know that person. And then you go on to question more. And the last question is, for me, I always repeat it a lot, is who would you be without that thought? So you have, that helps you to realize that your thoughts are not who you are. You're just a spiritual being. So I love her book, Loving What Is. It taught me so much, but I absolutely love the question, who are you without that thought?
That really opens the door to many possibilities. It sounds also very destabilizing. It could be very, like, we find so much comfort in our sense of identity. So for somebody to be like, if I take that away, who am I now? It's a powerful question.
Yes, it is.
Mm. It makes me wonder about how many times you had to reinvent yourself.
Quite a few times. I've had, let me see, when I was 5 years old, my mother had left us kids. I had two brothers with my father, and then they went through a whole 1.5 year custody battle, and they were fighting over us. So this was the age where you develop programs. So in that time, I'm 5 years old, and I'm thinking I have to take care of my brothers. And I got I'm not worthy, because I wasn't worthy for my mother to stay, and I'm not enough. And just the feeling of abandonment. But a really, really good process is to do an inner child healing. And I just learned, well, I've been working on that 5-year-old child for years, but recently I was guided to do an inner child healing, where you go back and you have a discussion with yourself as that 5-year-old self, and you tell them who you are today and how everything turned out, and you tell them it's going to be okay and that they don't have to take that on. So it's an incredible healing and very strong to do, because then that changes your entire timeline.
Yeah. For people who don't know exactly what a timeline means, can you explain?
The timeline is, my entire life. Every one of us has a timeline. And so from the time I stepped in and I was born, then that's a whole timeline. So from the time I was 5 years old and picked up all the programs until my youthful age now, which makes me laugh, that changes the energy of everything that's happened. And when I was a teenager, if something drastic happened to me, then that clearing the energy of my 5-year-old clears the energy of my teenager. And so it just snowballs into clearing all kinds of stuff in your entire life.
Wow. Mm-hmm. But it requires you to go back and experience.
You have to go back, you have to feel it, and you have to have that discussion and tell them that it's okay. It's okay to, feel everything. And what I did with my inner child is I taught her how to ground herself. And I taught her, Amy Cuddy has this process where you put your arms on your hips and your feet are spread, and you stand there for 2 or 3 minutes. This increases the testosterone in your body and lets go of the cortisol. So it actually really good to do before interviews and that kind of thing, which I should have done before this one.
We're doing it now. It's okay.
Yeah, but I taught how to do that. And so that gave her the tools to completely handle what was coming after, the whole 1.5 years of custody battle.
Wow. That's powerful. Thank you. I haven't heard of that trick before. That's really powerful. I've done some work with my inner child, but I didn't realize that I could teach her tricks back then, and that it would carry through here.
Yeah. Well, it's understanding that everything is energy. And so energy can be changed. And there's another thing that I can't actually wrap my conscious mind around, is that everything's happening at once. Yeah. So there is no past and there's no future. It's happening now. So in this now moment, for me to go back in my conscious mind to my 5-year-old self, I'm clearing my now moment because it's happening now.
Yeah.
But my conscious mind.
And there's so much talk about being here in the now, being present. What takes us away from the present moment? Because we can't, literally, there's nothing else. There's only this moment.
Yeah.
We can't be anywhere else.
We have our power in this moment. So I learned this actually from Joe Dispenza, to be in the now and then draw a circle around yourself. And in this now moment, you're completely fine. You have all your power. The moment you go outside of the circle and you think about the job you have to do tomorrow, you worry about your bank account, you worry about a person in your life. Like every time you take your thoughts away from this now moment, you are giving your energy away. So parts of you is going away. So when you can call back all your parts and take your own power and be in this present moment, that's when you have all the power to stay grounded and stay in this moment.
Mm-hmm.
You have to remind yourself that constantly, though.
Mm-hmm. One thing that takes us away from there, and something you brought up earlier, a very strong word, and that's programs. And we are constantly being programmed with programs that have been instilled in us before we were even born, from our parents and the parents that came before them, the society programming, even just things you watch on TV. It's called television programming. The news like one thing that's became very conscious to me is how the news programs individuals. And even if you're not watching the news, you get pulled into that fear from the energy of people in the grocery store or in public. That became very apparent to me in this past few years, how even though I'm not watching the news, I'm picking up on the energy of the people in the grocery store around me, the heightened fear. So what do we do about this constant programming that has a motive behind it? And the motive, I believe, behind the programming in today's world is like capitalistic base, is to make money, and it's to tell people that you are not enough, that you need this to fuel the economy that we live in.
I do a declaration every single day. Now, sometimes I call it a prayer. A lot of people have programming to the word prayer, so I call it a declaration. So I do this when I sit and do my breath and my quiet time in the morning. I will do a declaration before I get up and go about my day. And well, would you like me to share? Because I can share with everybody so they know. But basically, breathing, and you're settling yourself down, bringing yourself to the now moment. And then I say it out loud, as I declare my space sovereign. I command all energies that do not serve my highest good to leave my space now. I call back energy I've given away or left behind, cutting all cords of attachment. Then I call upon the dragons, and I ask for the fire dragon to clear the space ahead of me during my day, the earth dragon to clear the ley lines below me, the air dragons to breathe positive energy on me, and the lilac dragon to blow fire around my energy field. The lilac flame is around my energy field, and that will protect me from all of the negative energy you'd come across in the grocery stores and everywhere you go. I also ground deep into the planet. And then I take a deep breath and I say, by the Holy Trinity of my I am presence, it is so, it is so, it is so. And then with my hand on my heart, I thank everyone that was able to help, like all the dragons and all the energies, the beings of light that are connected, and then go about my day. And I trust that everywhere I go, the fire dragon has cleared the energy.
Yes. So this talk about the dragons, many people are probably not familiar with what this is. So can you talk to us about dragon resonance and the origins of that into your realm, and what that's all about?
Well, the interesting thing is I've collected dragons since I was small. I love dragons. So I've collected all kinds of things. I've got jewelry that are dragons. And then I come across this woman who was teaching dragon resonance. And I had to, so I took the course. And when you're attuned to the dragons, and you don't even have to be attuned to it, but basically it's everything you thought was a myth is true. So, you know, fairies, you think fairies make believe kind of thing, but there are fairies with the flowers and everything. And the dragons, same thing. The dragons left our realm when the humans started killing them off. And so now in the myth, in the books and that, we're taught that dragons are bad. And so basically it's completely the opposite. So again, it's that programming. So you're programmed to believe that dragons, you know, have this breath of fire and it's going to harm you and all that kind of thing. Couldn't be further from the truth. And so the fire dragon, and you have a guardian dragon. Everybody has a guardian dragon. So when you close your eyes and you ask your heart to show your guardian dragon, you will get a visualization. It'll show you a picture. Now, some people will see in their third eye, some people will feel, and somebody like will have it just a sense. For me, my guardian dragon's a rainbow dragon. It's a powerful, well, they're all powerful. But when you start playing with the dragons, you're giving them permission to help you in your day. And so the elements are really easy to remember because there's many dragons, but I'm always using the elements. The water dragon, I'll call on the water dragon because it really helps you to go with the flow. Yeah. And, you know, it's just all of them are so powerful, and it just helps you to open your heart and be more open to all of this. Mm-hmm. Does that answer your question?
Yes,
it's
definitely.
A powerful subject. It really is.
Yeah, that's just the introduction, but that's perfect enough. And people wanting to learn more, they could check out your YouTube or your website where you delve deeper into the subject. Yeah. And what you do is you combine quantum energy, as I mentioned in your intro, with dragon resonance and light language. So let's examine light language a bit. We haven't talked about that yet. So what is light language wisdom?
Light language is the language of our soul. So where we are all one in the quantum field, there is a language, kind of like a first language, that is understood by our soul. So anybody, any new person that's watching my videos, and I do an activation, and you hear the light language, then you're thinking, what the heck is that, right? So I've had all kinds of comments, but basically, if you connect with your heart and listen with your heart, you could feel the vibration of it. Now, on the August 8th, I did a special broadcast in which I taught people the mantra. It's a light language mantra that is for bringing more Christ light in. And it's Vini Ospitera. So it's so easy to say. It's V and then ni, os, pa, terra. So when you break it down and then you can say it. So if you go about your day and you are saying that, like chanting that, you will bring more light in, but you will feel the vibration of those words. And any one of us can speak light language. It's getting past the conscious mind and telling you that you're not just jibber jabber. So it's powerful.
Yeah. It really does require that work of releasing judgment of ourselves.
Oh yeah. Yeah. When I first started, I thought, what the heck was that? And I sent a recording to a friend who she does light language. And she said that she told me that was old soul activation. She said, that's an old, very old language. And I'm like, and it took me a long time to be open enough to add it to my videos. And so I've got it in my videos, as well as there's key codes where if you watch my videos, my hands will be going. So my hands get going with the energies, and that is drawing symbols and then sending it to the person who's listening.
Mm-hmm. So we've examined the dragon resonance, the light language, and that brings us back to where we started, and that is the quantum realm.
Mhm.
How would you begin to explain the quantum realm in layman's terms to someone that doesn't have any experience with this?
It's like going to a level that's away from the earth plane. So it's a void. And if you go into this void and just simply let go, that is where the quantum realm is. Now, when I say void, a lot of times our human mind wants to say blackness. But for me, when I go to the quantum realm, I've got a meadow. I've got a beautiful garden and a waterfalls. So you could create your quantum realm to be whatever you want. So I can be in my meadow in just like 3 breaths and I'm there. And that is the quantum realm. And I can bring anything into that space just with the thoughts that I have.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of times people are meditating, right? And they don't even realize this meditation has probably taken them to the quantum realm, because you've quieted the mind. As soon as you quiet the mind, you're in the quantum realm.
Mm-hmm. And when you're talking about bringing something in, and you mentioned the law of attraction earlier, have you manifested things in your life this way?
There's a lot of things that you could bring in. Now, just the other day, I was just horsing around. We were going to play cards at my in-laws, and my husband asked me, we always play for money. I don't recommend gambling, but we're just playing for $10, right? $10 each. And my husband says, how much are we going to win tonight? Just joking. And I said, I'm winning $20 and you're going to win $10. And I just let it go. And I came out of there with $24 and he won $15. I was on top of the world because you're saying it and you let go. The moment you have any kind of negative thoughts come in, that'll cut it off. So manifesting people for my courses, signing up for my free webinars and that kind of thing. Absolutely.
Wow, powerful. So I have so many directions I want to take what you just said. First, I'm just gonna go back to the quantum realm, and I'll try to remember. Bianca could keep this in her head, maybe. Is that the letting go? Let's get back to that. But to me, that quantum realm is the stillness of the storm from Thrive On. Does that make sense? Like, is that the quantum realm? That's what the quantum realm feels like me, is that center of the storm, the center of that tornado, the middle of the vortex, where everything is calm, where there's peace, where you are in the infinite and anything can be created there.
That is absolutely, that is. And that, when you mentioned vortex, I added that actually to my declaration, because in the vortex, that is like your vortex is your I am presence. That's where everything you desire, but everything that you are. So when you step into the vortex and you wear that, your vortex is spinning and nothing can enter to harm you at all.
So beautiful. Yeah, I'm listening to the Vortex audiobook by Esther Hicks right now.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
It's very powerful.
Mm-hmm.
So let's continue on that stillness of the storm. So ways we can connect with that quantum realm, with that stillness of the storm, is meditation, as you said. What are some other ways people can connect with that stillness of the storm, step into the quantum realm where the infinite possibilities come to be?
Just their breath. If you're having a hard time, say you're at work and so you can't get to your space and meditate, just step into the bathroom and tap your collarbone and remind yourself, I am love, and breathe. I am love. I am my I am presence. and then just tap and breathe, and completely changes your whole energetic system by doing that.
Mm-hmm. Another ancient system I use to tap into the quantum realm is yoga, an ancient art. And like, I'm a yoga teacher myself, and that's one way I connect with that quantum. Has yoga played any role in your story, Nancy?
Yoga has been something I on and off do. It's something I want to do because I know it'll help my muscles. What I love about it is it kind of massages your organs and it stretches your muscles. We can have stored energy any part of our body. When you're doing yoga and you're doing the stretches, you are getting rid of that stored emotion and it's working through. And that's what's really important, to like work it out of your body, because it's stored energy can be what's causing the arthritis in your knee or what's causing the digestive issues. Whatever's going on in your body is simply stored emotions.
Mm-hmm. Another tool that I know Bianca uses to connect with the quantum realm, and I'm curious to hear how it plays a role in your life, and that's journaling, and the power of the spoken word.
Mm-hmm. Journaling is with the magic pen. And I'm always on like blue ink. I don't know where I heard that, but somewhere on my journey I was told to always have blue ink because your mind will remember it. But journaling helps to get everything out. And you could, if you're having trouble with another human being, write it out. You could write it out in your journal as if you're talking to them and you're getting it out of your body. So it's really important to let it go. You have to get rid of the stored emotions because it causes resistance in the body. And then when you can get rid of that, you're able to hold more light.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of those practices, they really relate to the letting go. It's like we're trying to create space within to hold a frequency, and I understand how certain emotions, certain beliefs, they have a denser quality to them, so that kind of disrupts our energy flow and what we call the torus. Is that right? Is that all connected?
Yes, because when you can breathe into your heart, you are creating the torus around you. And then when there's anything that's going to interfere with that, it's going to be stored emotion. But I've been clearing for years. And then I think it was last week that I was given a message that if you're constantly believing you have stored emotions, then that belief is the stored emotion.
Mm-hmm.
So letting go the belief that we have stored emotions is probably the most powerful thing you could do. That's why I added stepping into the vortex, stepping into your I am presence, because as that presence, you have no stored emotions. You are just your true self. So it's a process that I was given because I always had the belief I had stored emotions. So that belief is what's causing the resistance.
Mm-hmm.
Powerful that you said resistance, because that's where I was coming to next. And Stephen Pressfield, the author of many amazing books, he describes resistance as the negative force in the world that keeps us from fulfilling our dreams. And we will meet resistance again and again. And we've talked about so much wisdom and knowledge here. But resistance will get in the way of us implementing this and living in divinity always. How do you deal with resistance, and how do you meet it when it comes up?
When you're in the now moment and you're present in your now moment, then what's unfolding in front of you is unfolding for you. Well, with that said, not all the time. So if you witness something and you feel an emotion about what you just saw, that emotion is coming up for you to release, not because of what just unfolded, but because you're ready to let that go. So that situation unfolding in front of you is just like a game, like part of the video game that's showing you this is what you're ready to release. And so then you have that awareness, oh, I'm feeling anger. And you release it as soon as you acknowledge that you are, and it's not that you are, it's you are experiencing, because you are not that emotion. But that's the hard part. I'm still working on that. And I think everybody's going to work on that for all of their life, because what is unfolding in front of you could be unfolding for someone else. So that's why what I'm being told is, if you don't have an emotion about what just happened, it's not yours. If you have an emotion, then it's yours. So, and it's being that aware of what's going on and asking yourself.
Mm-hmm. Wow. So we are all teachers on this call right here. Bianca is a school teacher. I'm a yoga teacher, and you yourself are a teacher, Nancy. And I think we all have teachers within us. Mm-hmm. How do we teach this wisdom and awaken consciousness in awareness with others? And I think it starts with the self. But can you expand on this?
It definitely starts with ourselves, because when we can walk the talk, you are showing everybody else, and people are learning just from watching you. Yeah. So they, for myself, they don't have to come and watch my videos or come to one of my classes. All they have to do is see that I have made a change from who I was and who I am. Then that changes something in them. It's like a spark that goes off, and they want what I've got, kind of thing. So they will step into learning, what I've learned, because they want to experience what I'm experiencing. Mm-hmm. So whether we know it or not, we're all teachers.
Yeah, and it's interesting. This digital world has created many opportunities, but maybe also barriers. But I'm picking up on your energy just from this digital world. But I'm sure if I was there in your physical presence, there'd be a different form of energy that I would take on. What have you learned about the physical realm and the digital realm?
When we're having a conversation, as we are now, there's key codes. Key codes, some people will call them activations. It doesn't matter if you're listening to me or reading a book, you are picking up key codes, which is the activations of intention that the author wrote. As the author, like when I write something, my weekly emails, and I write it all out, they are getting key codes from that, whether I'm speaking light language or not. The intention that I have to send them is going into the words they're writing. So whether they're aware of the energy, they are being affected energetically. Now, when we're speaking about this, you have guides, we each have guides, we have a team working with us, but there could be like a swap of guides in which they're working on you because you're absorbing the key codes of the information that I'm sharing, and you're absorbing that. And the key codes is what's going to light up your cells and completely go down your DNA, recharging that. So it's kind of cool.
Pretty cool.
It's very cool. This conversation is absolutely mind blowing. Like, I feel we could talk forever. Like, I feel I'm being bathed in just like pure divinity right now, and yeah, I'm a bit speechless at the richness of this conversation.
Yeah, it does blow minds.
Thankful.
Quite literally, because
Bianca, what are your thoughts on all this?
These are things I've been practicing for the last years, and I've been learning about it through experience. The releasing of energy, of emotion, working with my beliefs. And when you understand that whatever you perceive stems from what you create inside your mind, it makes me really think about the possibilities that are being offered to us and how we're still limiting ourselves in so many ways, but how exciting it is with the awareness that we have that power, that we can actually transcend those limits. And that's so exciting to me. For example, you talk about changing the belief that we have resistance or that we have stuck emotion, just changing that. And for example, there was one day where I processed a lot of emotion that was really physically painful. It lasted hours and it was very uncomfortable. And then I was working on regrounding myself the next days, and it kind of left me with a belief that it's painful to release emotion. And then I was working on that because I don't want that to be my belief, because it doesn't have to be this way. So I've been playing with that and how blissful and joyful and pleasant we can make this experience, because it is whatever we wish it to be. And that makes me really excited. I love this topic.
When you think of a child and a child having a temper tantrum, right? And they're kicking, they're screaming, they're crying, and then boom, they're laughing. So that kicking and screaming, crying was letting go. And then they let go and they right back to life. And that's how we should be. Only we tend to hold on, because if we're at work, we can't cry in front of people. We have to wait. So we hold on to it until we get home, and then we cry, right? And so, but here we've held on to it all day. But if we just allow ourselves to cry and let it go, and then boom, it's done, you know, and go about your day.
Yeah, I think at the root of that is fear, right? We can't cry at work because we're fear of what other people will say, or we're fear that we'll lose our job, or we're fearful of whatever. What is your relationship with fear, Nancy? What has that developed into?
Fear, like especially lately, fear, I have an awareness of it, of the people around me, but I'm also not allowing it into my body. If I at all have any kind of fearful thoughts, I immediately, I say destroy and uncreate that, because you're creating with your thoughts. So if I have a fearful thought, I will say destroy and uncreate that, and immediately think of something that I really want to experience, not that fearful thought. So just letting it go right away.
Wisdom. Yeah. No, I love that so much. And there's so much I wanted to get into in this discussion. We've completely really gone off our traditional script, and that's okay. What transpired was exactly what needed to transpire. There's typically a final 3 questions that I ask all guests. I'm going to get to those. But Bianca, do you have any last questions or thoughts or whatever that you'd like to add before I get to those that we haven't attended to?
I'm really excited about more people learning about this power that we hold, and the power of creation we hold with our minds. So obviously I would love to know how we can learn from you. And I think that's all for now. Like I just get so excited about people learning the power they hold.
I send out weekly, I was going to say monthly, weekly motivational Monday emails. And every week I have a process in it on what you can add to what you do in your day. And then usually I'll link it up to a video that I've either already done on YouTube, or I'll create a new video for it. It depends on what I'm drawn to do. And I have that. And then I have actually a course on Thinkific, and it's Quantum Activation School, I think, or Academy, Quantum Activation Academy. And you can definitely it's a 4-week program. So that's pretty cool. And then I do one-on-one sessions as well. That's on my website. You can access that.
Amazing.
So through it all, through all the highs and lows that is this life experience, what has been your greatest life lesson you've learned on the path, Nancy, that you feel called to share with Bianca, myself, and all our listeners today?
The greatest life lesson, probably that I'm worth it. Because in my teenage and right up to in my 20s, I suffered from self-abuse. So drugs and alcohol and all kinds, like I just didn't love myself. And so I went through a lot in those years, only to, I call it, wake up and get into energy healing and that, and know that I'm worth it and I am enough. And to love myself to the point where I can learn how to take care of myself with the power of my mind and my energy field.
Wow. So for someone in your shoes in the past, kind of stuck at the crossroads of all the shoulds of society, culture, and they're feeling that inner calling to take them in a different direction, whether that be to go travel or to quit their job or to end their relationship or whatever that calling, go to the yoga training or invest in your course about the quantum realm. What advice would you have for that hero that is feeling that pulled to go beyond, that they're feeling that call to adventure, but they're stuck?
Connect with your heart and ask for a sign. If you don't have that communication with your heart, then ask the beings of light. We all have a team. So ask the beings of light for a sign. You could ask with details. I would like to see, I don't know, 3 yellow cars today, right? And give a time limit, but ask for a sign. And then you'll get your sign and you'll have your confirmation, that kind of thing. But connecting with your heart and just visualizing doing it in your heart, you will have a feeling of lightness, which is yes, or heaviness, which is no. So it's all kinds of different little things you can do, but I love asking for a sign and connecting with my heart.
And if those 3 cars don't show up, those 3 yellow cars, how do you keep your faith?
A lot of times I'll just ask for another sign, because maybe I wasn't paying attention, or, it's like, or what'll happen is when I'm not paying attention, I was once looking for a space to do a class and I had almost given up and I was done researching when somebody came into a store and came and talked to me and said, "Did you know that there's a chiropractor a block away that's renting space in the basement?" And I was like, just out of the blue, right? So that's a sign, and it's paying attention to what people are saying. So you will overhear a conversation. And so that was a sign. I found out about the space and had my class in that basement. So it was perfect.
Wow. So rich. This is such a rich conversation, but to be respectful of your time, and hopefully we can have a part 2 between us 3 in the future, but to be respectful of your time, I'm going to ask the final 2 questions that I ask everyone. And the first one is this: in 3 words, how would you describe the experience you were having on this earth?
In 3 words, I love life.
I love life. As do I.
Wow.
Right on. And this next question entails a bit of magic. And I believe we are all magicians in our heart. I'm going to transport us. I'm going to transport us into the future, even though that future is now. I'm going to transport us in the future, and we're going to be alongside an 85-year-old Nancy Telfer. Who is she? Where is she? Who's she surrounded by? And what is the legacy that you've left in this reality plane?
She is still doing what I am doing now. and she is still doing videos and teaching. And she has a second book, possibly a third book, that has more information about dragons. 85. There's no
Right
that's
on
just
it. I just want
young,
you to
85 young.
yeah. And I want you to stay with that 85-year-old Nancy just for a moment longer. Just really feel her in your heart. And I'm going to bring us back to the present moments, to the now. And that 85-year-old, she whispers something in your ear. What does she tell you?
Be strong.
Mm.
Mhm.
Wow.
Powerful words of wisdom.
Mm.
Yeah, it takes strength to
Well,
trust the information you're getting.
Mhm.
Mhm.
well, thank you so much for this conversation. I feel blessed, and I'm sure Bianca feels similar, enriched by this conversation, and everyone listening. It's a blessing.
Well,
So we thank you, Nat.
So I love it.
Yeah. And as you mentioned, you have a website. They can find you at telfercoaching.com. You can sign up for your weekly newsletter, which I know I will for sure be doing myself. Where on the website can you do that? I remember seeing that, and I tried to sign up, and I couldn't find the link for that.
If you go to my freebie page, there's some
Okay.
freebies that you can get. There was a short period of time that my links were not working. So they're all fixed.
Okay.
And so there's 3 freebies there, I think. And yeah, so you can download the freebies and get on my mailing list.
Perfect.
I will do. And they can also find you on YouTube and Instagram at Nancy Telfer. Anywhere else we can send them?
Facebook, I have a
think I
private
got them.
quantum activation portal. It's a private page. Quantum light coaching is my page. But I'm in the quantum activation portal once a week doing dragon card readings.
Oh, wow.
Beautiful. We'll be seeing you there. To close every conversation, we bring our fist in to the winner circle. It's a choice we could all make. Boom. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for showing up.
Mhm.